I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, Velocities in Music. Today, we're going to review Wild Beast Smother, which is an album that every one of you guys has wanted us to review. We've had tons of comments saying, review Wild Beast, review Wild Beast. Everyone loves Wild Beast. Tom, who are Wild Beasts?
Well, they are a group from England. They started pretty small, kept adding members, and then eventually getting this, big, expansive sound. That I feel like they really keep very tactful on here, despite everything that they could do with it. I think that they do a good job of keeping it minimal when it needs to be, and really making things huge when it needs to be.
It's very dramatic.
Yes, very much so. But this is like their third album. Their last album, Two Dancers, I believe, got them a lot of hype, was on a lot of people's end of the year lists back in, I believe, 2009. And so here they are again, and they're making music that's really, really good sound, good kind of classic English sound. I would actually compare a lot of the songwriting styles to Elbow.
Yes.
Track 6, Invisible, just sounds like it could have been an Elbow track.
I agree.
But also, like, the vocalist is going to be one of the first things you notice, really, because he has this, the vocals, to me, it's a split of Anthony Haggerty from Anthony and the Johnsons and Gavin from Dredge. I actually got some of that in there that I was like, this sounds a little bit like Dredge.
With the melodrama taken to an extreme.
To an extreme. Very operatic.
Yes.
But against these kind of ambient, sweeping guitar underlays, I guess. A lot of good piano lines. And also, there's one thing, and this is actually, I'll get this out of the way right now, because it's a minor complaint of mine, but they use a lot of this, like, kind of conga-ish, little bloopy kind of, I don't know if it's sample or if it's performed live and then just really heavily produced, but it's on like every track.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they really rely on it, not only for as a rhythmic device, but also it does create some melody because there's the different pitches between them. And at first that's kind of cool. It wears on me a little bit by the end of the album, but it does support the strong songwriting that is here.
Right. Yeah, and one thing that really got me about this was just how dark sounding this is. Not that it actually ends up being dark, because this isn't the type of dark moods and ambiance that really I would call dark. I would call Nine Inch Nails the Downward Spiral dark.
Yeah, it's not depressing. Not that.
It's more like this austere, this kind of introspective, longing sort of dark. And it's moody, and it's great, I think, rainy day music. I got into this album a lot right away. I mean, I put this on and I was like, wow, this is really good. Part of that's because I think it has a really strong back half, which I love. Albums that have really strong closing, last 3 or 4 tracks on an album, when those tracks are strong, specifically the closer, and I think the closing track, and Come Too Soon, is absolutely fantastic. I guarantee you it will be on my top tracks of 2011 list. And it's 7.5 minutes long, and I think that if you can manage 7.5 minutes efficiently and effectively, you are just talented songwriters. And I think that that's one of the main, I want to say assets, that's the accountant in me speaking, but good features about Wild Beasts and Smother in particular is just how great their songwriting, and in particular, I like it when bands can make their songs sound less like songs and more like compositions. Like they're bringing in these different instrumental parts that are really very, very high quality, but well written, and then arranging them in a certain manner to really, it's like cooking. It's like bringing in all the right ingredients and making, this delicious dessert. It's like the best lemon meringue pie I could possibly, or key lime, that's my favorite.
And that's a great point about the songwriting, because I mean, you do get some kind of verse chorus repetition in the vocals, but then a lot of the time, even when that's happening, the instrumentals are building and always evolving, adding things here and there, dropping things here and there. So they're just this fluid continuum almost, while the vocals are really anchoring it down into a songwriting.
Now, Tom, to me, the one thing that eventually, like, I was originally sitting at like an 87 for this album. On like the third listen, I was like, oh my god, I love this album. I like it, not quite as much as Fleet Foxes or Elbow, but I'm up there with it. And then after I got to, like, I've listened to this thing like 8 times now, and it's because it fits well. It's an easy album to put on in a lot of situations, and for me, it's easy listening. So, but as the more and more I dug at it, and the more I realized I liked the tracks that I really liked, and the less I liked the tracks that I really didn't. I just just quit caring about the other tracks, and that's not a good sign for me. So it kind of did bring my score down a little bit. And I think that there's some minor track displacement going on. I think, and I'm sure this will probably vary person to person. So I'm not saying that these tracks are honestly weak. It's just, to me, I didn't like them as much. But I didn't think that tracks like maybe even Lion's Share, which I think is a strong song, but Bed of Nails, Deeper, Invisible, really, I don't think they really could hold their own against Plaything, Albatross, Reach a Bit Further, Burning, and Come Too Soon. Burning is very artsy, a lot of samples and you would know more about that process, sounds, and I like the whole second half of the album, so I really can't complain too much about it. That's more of a minor criticism, but it is something that I'm realizing kept me out of that upper 80s range, just because I feel like 5 of the songs are really high quality, and the other 5, while they're still good, they're not on the same level, and it's a very minor displacement, but it's enough there to note, and it's enough for me to go, eh. I would have preferred it if all 10 songs just blow me away. That would have been fantastic.
I agree completely.
Yeah. So I'm sitting at a 78, Tito. I don't know what you're feeling. I'm anticipating a good score.
I'm going 80.
80? Okay, so Tom and I kind of feel the same way about this one. It's right on the cusp of being one of those very good albums that we recommend to everybody. This is definitely a very strong album. I would say it's a little under the hype that Smother's getting. I think Smother's getting a lot of hype. Has an 87 on Metacritic, something like that, extremely high. And I can see why. It's a very focused album. To me, it's almost too focused. We've given this criticism a few times this year. I think it's just a little too focused. They need to chill out a little bit and kind of let their songwriting and aspirations and ambitions come out in their music a little bit more and be a little bit more expansive. So 79 overall for VIMTV. Guys, what did you think? Tell us if you loved Smother or if you felt like some of the tracks were stronger. What were your favorite tracks? We never asked that question. I'd love to hear what your guys' favorite tracks were on Wild Beast Smother. Leave us a comment at www.velocitiesandmusic.com or youtube.com/velocitiesandmusic. Check out Ian's Tumblr blog, vimtv.tumblr.com. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. That's where we do our talking. We're always on there talking to you guys about music. Check us out. I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, moving music critique forward.